Good afternoon and welcome to today's session of Imagine America Radio, our continuing Career College Exposition webinar series. My name is Lee Doubleday and I'm the Director of Operations here at the Imagine America Foundation. I'm excited about today's topic, STEM careers in the transportation industry with Universal Technical Institute, or UTI. UTI is this country's leading provider of high-quality career-focused education at 12 locations nationwide. UTI is also a 20-year sponsor of the Imagine America Scholarship and Award programs, having provided admissions-based financial aid to more than 15,000 enrolling Imagine America high school students. Without taking valuable time from our presenter, let me refer any and all inquiries about the Imagine America Foundation to our website, which is www.imagine-america.org. Since our beginning in 1999, Imagine America remains the leading sponsor of scholarship aid to enrolling high school students. However, our country faces a serious shortage in certified technicians. We hear from employers in virtually all sections of the country, desperately looking for qualified employees, so we need to do more. Joining us today to discuss in detail the looming technician shortage and how UTI is helping meet this need is Dr. Stephen Coyle. Dr. Coyle is a nationally recognized expert with an extensive K-12 background. Before turning the program over to Dr. Coyle, let me outline today's agenda. Today's session of Imagine America Radio will be 30 minutes maximum with question and answers at the end of the presentation. All participants can submit questions while the presentation is in session via the Q&A feature in this Zoom meeting or use the chat box. At the end of the presentation, we will then present any questions offered by the participants. So without taking any more time out of today's presentation, let me turn today's session over to Dr. Coyle. Dr. Coyle, the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. Get this moving here. There we go. Thank you very much, Lee. Appreciate it. And thank you all for joining us this afternoon. And I'll get right into it. First of all, we have challenges facing the workforce. We'll follow that up with opportunities in the transportation industry. And then we will close with Universal Technical Institute's career pathways. So I always like to start off with the changing workforce because it's changed significantly from the 20th century to the 21st century. As you can see, in the 20th century, we were very much an agricultural manufacturing economy with service mixed into that as well. Today, as you can see, we're almost a totally service-oriented economy. And that shouldn't surprise anybody because if you own a house, a car, a washing machine, I don't care what it is, you know, we've all experienced trying to get somebody to service our equipment, let alone someone who's certified. You also might look at agriculture and say, gosh, what happened there? 41% to 2%. Are we running out of food or what's going down? It's actually, we're feeding more people with the 2% than we are the 41%. And that's through technology. But technology ties right into service. And once again, it goes back to who's going to service this equipment. A recent survey was done of 150,000 students from grades 6 through 12, and these students were asked, how many of you would like a skilled trades career? And as you can see, about 3% said, yeah, that's what I'm looking for. The same group of kids were then asked, how many of you would like a STEM career? And over 45% said, oh, yeah, that's what I want. I don't want a skilled trades career. I want a STEM career. And there lies the disconnect because students do not see a connection between STEM and skilled trades. Unfortunately, we have educators who also don't see that connection. We tend to think of STEM as white collar rather than blue collar, or as I like to say, it's all collars, because STEM permeates our economy and our workforce today. STEM career growth it's grown phenomenally. Over 13% by 2027, it's projected to continue to grow at that rate. Personally, I think that's a little low estimate. I think it's more like 15 or 16%, but still significant growth. Whereas you see all other jobs about 9%. But the significant difference is when you start talking about hourly and yearly earnings. You can see in a non-STEM career, a little over $19 an hour, which is not bad at all. A STEM career, almost $39 an hour. Quite a difference. And then when you look at yearly earnings, it's really glaring. Non-STEM occupation, a little over $38,000 a year. STEM occupation, almost $87,000 a year. And then you compound that by looking at a career of 15, 20, 25, 30, even 35 years. That's a significant difference in earnings potential with the non-STEM versus STEM career. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that you choose a non-STEM career, you're going to be poor the rest of your life. No, there are high-paying non-STEM careers, but statistics bear out that the majority are in STEM trades. A little over 20% of the jobs in this country require a bachelor's degree for entry, only about a fifth. But the real significant statistic, in my opinion, is that almost half the college grads walking around today are in occupations where they didn't need a college degree. We have people with bachelor's degree all over the country. They have this bachelor's degree, and I'm not saying it's bad, but they didn't need it. They put all this time, energy, and money into a degree that they didn't need or they're not using. And so that's why it's important for us to focus on career readiness and career pathways when we are guiding these young people today on opportunities in careers. The old smart versus the new smart. I love to talk about this. The old smart focuses on the school. Get to the best college you possibly can. And then once you get there, figure out what it is you want to do. And you might laugh at that, but how many of you changed your major? I did. Once you get there and hopefully you figure out what it is you're going to do. And then you walk out the door with a degree in hand, go, here I am, world, hire me. And we know today that just doesn't work. It's not efficient. It's just wasteful. And you might even look at that and say, oh, that's so ridiculous. Where did you come up with that? Well, I would refer you to the recent college admissions scandal that's still going on. I thought it was over, but it's still going on. And these parents bought their sons and daughters' way into these prestigious schools like Stanford and USC, so they could have them out of a quality school. It goes back to the old smart thinking, get into the best school you possibly can, then worry about everything else. And all they have to show for it today are fines and jail time. And what's ironic, and many of the students didn't even want to go to college in the first place. So we go from the old smart to the new smart. What's the difference? The student. New smart, we're going to focus on the student and what they want, what they are looking for. It's very difficult for us as educators. We all have our bachelor's and master's and higher degrees. And so we tend to think others should follow in those footsteps, but that's not necessarily the path that they want to take. So we need to find out, what are students good at? That's the important first step. Then after we figure that out, then let's guide them to what program they're going to need. Do they need a bachelor's degree? Maybe, maybe not. Do they need an internship, competency-based credentials, an associate's degree? That's up to us as educator to give them that guidance. Take ourselves out of the equation and focus on them. And then once we figure out the program, then we figure out what school. Why would we send them to the University of Arizona if they could get the education that they need at a different institution of some kind? So that's why the new smart really works. But once again, it focuses on career readiness and career pathways. The rule of 1, 2, 7, very simple. You add 1, 2, and 7 together, you get 10. For every 10 careers that are available today, right now, only one requires an advanced degree, a master's degree or higher. Only 2 require a bachelor's degree. 7 of the 10 careers that are in demand today, right now, only require an associate's degree or competency-based credentials, meaning a certificate or a diploma. 7 out of 10. Yet, we are pushing students into colleges and universities at almost a 70% clip. So you see, what we're doing is exactly the opposite of what the economy is telling us we should be doing. Our job is to try to get students into, their careers, but yet we're pushing them into places where there aren't any careers. We have to help, as educators, we have to help parents and students understand that skilled trades and STEM do go hand in hand, and that skilled trades careers are good careers and they are high paying careers. I still remember watching a counselor once at a meeting I was conducting, and and she asked, we had a service manager there from a dealership and asked, well, what's your top technician make? And he said, 150,000. And she was just shocked. And he said, why are you surprised? These are highly trained technicians. Now, they don't all make that kind of money, obviously, but still the potential is there. We also have to dispel this myth of university for all. Not every one of your students wants to go to the college or university. Some do, and that's good. They need to be there. But the ones that don't, we need to help them find their path. And then finally, what are employers looking for? They're looking for competency-based credentials. The second part of the agenda today is opportunities in the transportation industry. I don't care if you're talking about a car, a truck, a motorcycle, an ATV, a boat, it doesn't matter. They're all rolling or floating computers. That's what they are. The biggest tool that you need when you work on a vehicle nowadays is a laptop. People look at this technology and they're just amazed at it. All the things that these vehicles can do now that they couldn't do even 5 years ago. It is pretty amazing. When I think of the technology, I think of safety. Take, for instance, the backup camera. We've all heard the horror stories of somebody backing over a child, sometimes their own child. Can't even imagine how horrific that would be. But with the backup camera, we virtually eliminated that. Then we go to the blind spot indicator. We've all been honked at. We start to switch lanes. Somebody blares their horn at us. We didn't see them because they were in our blind spot, of course. But with the blind spot indicators, we know what's going on around the car because of sensors. So these are life-saving technologies. The other thing we have to think about, though, is getting people to buy this equipment. For instance, farmers, they're shying away from the new equipment, which would make them more productive, make them more money, but they're shying away from it because they don't think they can work on these things because they're so high tech, and they're worried there's not going to be technicians to work on it. They can't afford to be down in their fields. So they're looking for older equipment. They're defeating the purpose of this technology. So once again, that's why we need the technicians. There's over 1.3 billion vehicles on the road worldwide today, 273 million of those right here in the United States. It's projected that by 2028, we will need 1.1 million technicians. 1.1 million. As I've said many times, the skills gap is not narrowing, it keeps widening. We have to put a stop to that now. And then finally, Universal Technical Institute's career pathways. So who is UTI? Well, as Lee told you at the beginning, UTI is the leading provider of technicians in the transportation industry. We have 12 campuses nationwide, and actually, I can announce now we have our 13th campus is going to be open in Austin, Texas. Should be open by next year, so that'll give us 13 locations. We place 4 out of 5 of our graduates into their chosen field, and notice I said chosen field. We don't just put them in a job somewhere and say, oh yeah, we got them employed. It's out of our hands. We want them doing what they want to do, what they're good at, what they love to do. So that's why that word chosen is placed there. And then we have over 220,000 graduates in our now 56-year history. We train in 8 different STEM programs: auto, diesel, collision, motorcycle, marine, NASCAR, CNC, and welding. You can't just come to UTI, you have to be invited. And that invitation comes through an interview with the student and their family. And why do we do that? Couple of reasons. Number one, we want to see if not only are they a good fit for us, but that we're a good fit for them. We ask them questions like, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you good at? What do you love to do? We want to find out, what they're looking for to see if we can help them. We also want to find out, if they have the family support. It's the family behind them encouraging them, because sometimes that's not the case. So we want to make sure that encouragement is there too. And then we're going to ask the hard questions that the service managers are going to ask when they're going to get hired in the near future. Service managers are going to want to know about their backgrounds and their attendance, their professionalism, all these things. So we prepare for that. The other thing that we love to do is explore careers, opportunities for them. These 8, yes, but within these 8, there are hundreds of career opportunities. Let's take, for instance, a student that they love cars, love to be around them, but they really don't want to turn wrenches. So what could they do? They could be a service writer. That's the person you see when you first take your car in to get it worked on. They're the ones going to ask you questions, get it, get it checked in, get it to the proper technician. So there's an opportunity. Or they could go to work for an insurance company and say, wow, so they're going to sell insurance? No, hardly. When you hit a deer, you see all the dents and dings on the outside of the car, but what you don't see is all the damage on the inside, the sensors that are damaged. So the insurance companies need trained technicians that know what to look for. So they love our graduates. So that's what, the interview is for, is to help explore what students are looking for and within our training programs. Industry-aligned technology. Even before the pandemic, we were already doing this. We did online combined with hands-on. Now we had to change a little bit because of CDC requirements, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. But this type of teaching aligns with the industry because that's what dealerships do. They can no longer afford to send their technicians off for a week or two, maybe 3 weeks at a time to go get training. They're short on technicians to begin with. They can't afford to be sending them off for training, so they do it online. So that's what we do. We do part of the training online so that students get accustomed to that. That way, our graduates, when they go into a dealership, they're prepared. They know what to expect. And then, of course, the hands-on, that's learning by doing, which we encourage, the students in order to, train on all different kinds of vehicles. And our education model is pretty simple. We teach competency-based credentials. So we teach one subject, you take one course at a time. It's not like a community college or a college or university where you're taking 5, 6 courses at a time. You take one course at a time for 3 weeks, you immerse yourself into that. Then when the competencies are reached, you move on to the next course and the next course. And this is how we build our technician from the ground up. As I said, we had to become CDC compliant. We didn't close because of the pandemic, hardly. I mean, the skilled trades gap is still going, and we had to keep it. We're an essential industry, so we had to find ways to meet CDC compliance, but to still keep training. So we did things like assigning doors where students could enter and leave, doing temperature checks of everybody that comes in, requiring face coverings. We had to reduce lab sizes to meet the CDC requirements for the 6-foot separation and social distancing. We require everyone to wash their hands, constantly. We clean and disinfect our facilities. And then we offer phone support so that if a student still doesn't feel safe coming in, we can offer phone support to them or their parents, to get their questions answered. We had to make some changes here too, as far as with presentations. We love to do in-person presentations, but with the pandemic, it just wasn't possible. Many of the schools had to shut down and go virtual, so we had to find a way to tie into that. So what we do is we use Microsoft Teams or we use Zoom that we can visit with your students. We can do all kinds of presentations. What my colleague Jerry Elner says is the buffet of opportunities that we offer. We offer tours, we offer industry days, we offer STEM demos, we offer lesson plans, things to help you with your students. You can see there's some of the slides on the right, some of them that you've seen today even. But, we have to keep, finding a way to reach out to students to educate them on what's going on. I also want to emphasize that these presentations are important for all of your students, not just a few of them. Any of your students could benefit from one of these presentations because we talk about career pathways and career readiness. We talk about the importance of STEM. And this is something that's good for all students, whether they're going into the transportation industry or whether they're not, doesn't matter. This is important information they need to hear. We do have a national presence. That's important for a couple of reasons. Number one, you'd be hard pressed to walk into a dealership and find one that's never heard of UTI. They all have. But the more important one is for career placement. You go to school in our campus in Avondale, but you decide you want to transfer to Texas, or you want to go to Florida or California or Illinois or North Carolina, we're there too. So that national presence is important. It keeps our students, I guess, in the eye, of the industry, so that they can, if they want to move around, they can do that and still be employed. Our relationships, we have over 35 industry relationships. These are, as I say, the big dogs of the industry. And as I often say, we're not training you for Jiffy Lube. We're training you to go to work for these kind of employers. And we keep adding to this number too. We just recently added AGCO is our first manufacturer specific training for the agriculture industry. So we're pretty excited about that. One of the things that I've talked about a lot, but I've never shown you, are trip employers. So this spring, I decided to put a couple of them in there so you can see exactly what a trip package is. A trip stands for Tuition Reimbursement Incentive Program. And so here's a couple of examples of what trip employers can do. The first one is the Hendrick Group. The company is 100 dealers representing 29 brands, currently operating in 13 states, over 10,000 employees. The package, tuition reimbursement, $300 a month on top of their salary given to them to pay off their student loans. Tool voucher, $200 a month for 10 months. That's $2,000. Relocation available on a case-by-case basis. As a service manager once told me, I'm not going to lose a student, or an employee, I should say, over a couple $1,000s. If they are high quality, I'm willing to invest in them. And then ASE reimbursement and paid factory training and comprehensive benefits package. That's one example. Another one is the Penske Auto Group. Over 150 US locations, over 40 world-class brands, Fortune 500 company. The package, tuition reimbursement, $420 a month for 48 months. Now that's on top of their salary to pay off student loans. Tool program, $2,000 reimbursement, 10-year bonus. They actually pay you to stay, $3,000 bonus paid after 48 months of employment. So that's an example of a couple of our trip employers. So you see that the industry is willing to invest into our graduates to go to work for them. Now, these programs are great, and you could potentially go to UTI free, but there's a catch. You have to be in class. You have to work hard while you're in class. Show professionalism, these kind of things, because that's what these dealerships are looking for. They want the best of the best. We also love to use our past graduates. That's these people's peers, so that when a future student is looking at going into this industry, they're more likely to listen to what these guys say than what we're going to say. So we love to have our graduates at these events so that they can ask them questions about what to expect in the industry. We are Title IV funded, so we do require the FAFSA to see if you qualify for financial aid. We have over $15 million in sponsored scholarships. We have housing grants. We have institutional grants. Of course, the trip employers that I just told you about, and then third-party programs to help make school affordable. You are the catalysts out there, and we recognize that. I'm a retired educator. I know what you guys do on a daily basis, although this year has been a challenge for sure. But what we want to do is partner with you any way we can. Like I said, the buffet of opportunities that we have, those are to benefit your students, to help you to keep those kids engaged. And so we're willing to do that for you. So please reach out to me if you're interested in something like that for your students. You can follow us online on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, YouTube, and of course our website, uti.edu. Before I forget, Anthony Marullo, who is the Regional Missions Director at our Avondale campus, asked me to mention that on April the 8th, they're going to host a virtual Future Student Workshop. And on April 10th, they're going to have an in-person workshop. You're welcome. Your students are welcome if they would like to attend, whether they're enrolled in UTI or not. It's free, but it gives them a chance maybe to see what we're about and see if they might be interested in joining one of these programs. And then I like to end off, I get questions all the time from counselors say, hey, I get it. You're preaching to the choir, but my parents do not get it. I need help. Well, here's some things that you can use. First of all, promote your STEM program. change the names of your courses, jazz them up a little bit, make it enticing for students to want to be involved. And a lot of times parents have an influence. So when they see that, they're more favorable to it. Host an open house for parents, and include middle school too. You're planting those seeds at the middle school level, but open house for parents, and don't have just where they walk around a little bit, maybe have some punch and cookies. Give them an activity to do, some kind of a STEM activity. They love that kind of stuff to be involved. Involve industry. Industry is dying to help you. They've got the money and the resources to help you, but they're looking for future employees. So they would love to help you. That's what we do. We involve industry every day. So you can do that too. Career pathways exploration days. You notice I didn't say college fairs. That's what we always call them, are college fairs. And when you say college fair, they're thinking, oh, this is just for kids going to college. Well, what about the kids that aren't? So that's why you need to have something for all of your students to get them all drawn in. And of course, you'll draw the parents in too with this. It makes all your students feel like that their career pathway is just as important as anybody else's. And then finally, celebrate the successes of all of your students, not just a few. All of your students are good at something, and plus that draws more parents in, because who doesn't want to see their sons and daughters recognized? So make sure you're celebrating all your successes. And so this is my contact information, my phone, my email address. Please reach out to me if you have any comments or questions. I'd love to answer them. I just can't thank you enough for spending part of your afternoon with me today, and good luck for the rest of your school year. Thank you so much. Bye.
All right, Dr. Coyle, thank you. We are now going to start the Q&A portion of our presentation. I'm also going to throw up a poll here. If you would like us to reach out to you with an email with more information about upcoming events for your seniors, please indicate so on the poll so that we know who to send that email with more information about upcoming events with Universal Technical Institute. Okay, it does look like we had a question that came in, Dr. Coyle. This person wants to know more about, and I think you may have covered it, GPA or SAT score requirements. Are there any for the school, or what are the admission requirements?
Well, actually, we do not require any of those. A lot of it is based on that personal interview that we do. We find out a lot of information about the students right there. We don't require ACT or SATs. We encourage them if you want to take them, obviously, but we don't require it, and we also don't require a basic GPA.
Okay, now this person wants to know about housing. Now, if they are, I know we're mainly focused around the Phoenix, Avondale area for this session, but maybe they're outside of that area. Do you offer housing at the Phoenix and Avondale locations?
Absolutely, we do. We do not have dorms, so it's not like a college setting. They're apartments, and they are leased by us. And of course, the Future Student Workshop, like I told you, that's going to happen on April 8th and 10th. We use that to pair our students together. This housing is for our students only. It's not blended in with the rest of the public. They're for our students only. And of course, we'd help to pair up students, to split costs and that kind of thing. We also help students get part-time jobs while they're in school. That way they can pay for their housing, and they don't have to use financial aid for that too.
Okay, Dr. Coyle. Now we get this question a lot. This has a question more around cost comparisons with community college. Why would somebody choose to send a student or to recommend a student go to your school when they could potentially recommend the student to go to a community college? It's less cost.
Yeah, I get this question a lot, and it's a good question. If you could get the same thing for your student, sending them to the local community college rather than UTI, yeah, why wouldn't you? But the problem is you're not getting the same thing. There's a distinct difference between our programs and what's offered at the community college. Some community colleges do have alliances with manufacturers. They might have one or two. We have 37. So we're very much career focused in those areas. The amount of training in a community college, you're going to get about 440 hours of training. UTI, 1,530 hours of training. That's a significant difference in training. So you're much more prepared going into a dealership. But also the time you're going to spend. You're going to be in community college 2 to 3 years. You're going to be at UTI a year. So many of our graduates are 19 and they're out working. And then finally, the trip employers that I just talked to you about. That's a huge advantage. Where people say, well, I can go to community college free. You go to UTI free too, but there's a catch. As I said, you got to work hard. You got to win this tuition reimbursement. The BMW and Mercedes, they want the best. So, but they're willing to invest in you if you're willing to put in the work.
Yeah, and I think it says a lot about the training that you would get at Universal Technical Institute, that you have companies willing to offer tuition reimbursement program in order to recruit them to come work for them at their company, which I think says a lot about your training programs. But okay, just a few house cleaning items here before we close. I just want to let everybody know that we have recorded this session. We'll be sending it out to you likely tomorrow. We also are conducting a quick survey. So when you leave this meeting, if you wouldn't mind providing any feedback, it would be very helpful to us. Just any kind of feedback kind of helps us hone in on maybe topics that we didn't cover that you would have liked to have heard us talk about for future presentations. But on behalf of the Imagine America Foundation, Dr. Coyle and myself, I just want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules today to join us. And like I said, I will be sending you the recording tomorrow with Dr. Coyle's contact information. So if you need anything or would like to contact him regarding any future sessions with your seniors, please do so at that time. But I want to thank you and wish you all a great day. Goodbye.